All right, this video is going to be a follow-up about my Hinderer MP-1, but first we'll start, as we always do, with what's in my pocket. I've got my Spyderco Shaman in my pocket. This one, if you've been following along, this is my second one. The first one had a few issues. You can go back and check out the video on that. This one has been great. Excellent action, very stout blade, like it a lot, but let's get on to the knife. There is a story involved with this knife that I talked about on my Instagram page. I know a lot of people just want to get straight into what's in the box, so we'll just jump straight into that. And if you're interested to hear why I had to send it in and, you know, full story, I'll cover that towards the end of the video. So first and foremost, I guess I will tell you why, otherwise it won't make any sense. I bought this knife on Instagram maybe 2 weeks ago. And as I was flipping it, I noticed that the stop pin, which there's an internal stop pin on this knife, I noticed that the stop pin, let's pull that out, the stop pin was moving back and forth. So I put up a post on the USN, and on the USN, they told me that, Witty from Scott is his real name, from USA Made Blade, he told me that that did not look normal, and he passed me along to Rick Hinderer himself. Well, Rick told me the same thing. He said, no, that doesn't look normal. Send it in. So I sent it in, and this is what they sent me back. Also, in the process of this, the knife came with this green scale here, which you can see, and we will pull that out. It came with this green scale, but I had sent in an email before I even sent my knife in to ask if they sold new or separate MP-1 scales. They said they did. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, the scales are expensive. I opted to have this one taken off. They even installed it at the factory for me. They installed this scale here. This scale cost me $108. So it was $100 for the scale and $8 for shipping. This is bone micarta. So you can see here, centering is good. This is an up close of the scale. Again, this is bone linen micarta. And I'm sure the question will come in, and like I said, I'm not taking up or defending the price, because I was a little bit blown away when I saw the price too. Oh, let me back up. Erica sent me the email, and she not only replied at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, but then she turned around and later said, basically, you know, I know tomorrow's a work day. Is it going to be easier for me to text you or to email you? So she was more than accommodating, sent me the price. I sent over the payment immediately. She walked this scale down to assembly, where assembly obviously put it on as they fixed my stop pin issue. But the price, I thought about it as after I paid and I was waiting for it to come back and the knife to come back. And I don't know how well it's going to show up on this knife, but you can see there's a lot of extra milling all around the edge. There's all of this milling here. So there's this relief. So there's a lot of extra milling over a regular XM scale. So I'm assuming that that's where the extra cost came in at. Either way, I paid it. I'm very happy. Let's see how the knife is. One thing I didn't record in the original video that I'm going to paste in here is the, like I said, the warranty sheet. You can see here the internal stop pin drifts slightly from side to side with normal flipping. The stop pin can freely be pressed from one side to the other using light finger pressure. That's my information. This is what they did for me, and this was free of charge, totally free of charge. They replaced the stop pin. They put in new washers. Keep in mind, this was allegedly a new, never even carried knife. They cleaned and adjusted the knife, and they changed out the new scale that I purchased. They did cover this under warranty. They were going to ship it out on the 8th, and the service was done by KJ. So I'm not sure what this says here, but it says okay to ship 2/8, and then I guess that's the next person in the line. So their quality assurance is high on the warranty line. So just wanted to add that in here. Now I'll cut back into the actual video. So first and foremost, it flips as well as it always has. Feels very good in hand, as it always has. It looks like No, they didn't touch up the edge. So they just looked at my stop pin issue. So this is the same blade. And what was happening before, if I open this here to about this point where that stop pin is in the recess, I could push this pin back and forth. Let's see. There we go. I could push it back and forth, and I'll roll in a little bit of video on that right here. So you can see this though does not push back and forth, and you can even see, I think you can see this side of this pin is very shiny. So it looks like they put in a new stop pin, and it even looks like that stop pin is a bit longer. So overall, I'm very happy. The service was great. Like I said, Whitty went out of his way to help me out. USA made blade went out of their way. They had the knife for maybe, it had to be less than a week, because they got the knife on Friday of last week and they turned around and I got it today, which is Saturday, February the 10th, I think, 11th. Saturday, February the 11th. So they could have only had the knife for a few days before they shipped it out. Shipped it out priority mail. Can't say enough about Hinderer's customer service, installing the scale, getting it turned around to me quickly. And I can't say enough about Whitty for getting the knife turned around and back to me. Again, I didn't even buy this knife from Whitty. This knife was bought on Instagram. Now, if we want to get into a little bit of that story, since I've already covered about the knife, this knife, as I said, it came with this Ranger Green scale. Saw it for sale on Instagram. The guy had it listed for, I don't remember, I think it was $325, $315. It was something like that. I asked him several questions, you know, what's the blade centering, what's the condition of the knife, etc., etc., etc. He sent me a video. Everything looked good. He told me it hadn't even been sharpened and it hadn't been carried. So basically it was a brand new knife, ready to go. So no problem. I sent the guy the money. He didn't specify exactly, you know, PayPal, friends and family, PayPal gift. I always pay PayPal, friends and family, if at all possible, because it just avoids issues. And I'm glad I did in this situation, because it would have helped me avoid, would have helped me avoid some issues should I have needed those protection services offered by PayPal. So anyhow, he sends me a message back the next day once he finds out that he was charged a fee for the transaction. So, you know, he's thinking it's a credit card fee or something like that. I tell him, he's claiming he's USN. So I tell him, you know, no problem. You know, we're USN brothers. I'm not gonna leave you hanging out there like that. You know, I got you covered. I'll send you the extra. I think it was $10 or something like that. He said, no, absolutely not. It was my fault, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. I said, you know, that's not the way we are in the USN. We'll both accept responsibility. Here goes the $5. You know, again, it's $5, $10, whatever it was. It was relatively nothing. Like I said, this scale cost $100. The knife cost $300. So we're not talking about a situation where neither person had the funds to go either way. But sent over the extra money. He was not going to hold up shipping because of the glitch with the payment. He shipped the knife out. Thanked me for sending over the $5. I got the knife in. As I mentioned, there are some marks. You can see them right there. There's some marks right there. And I believe there were some marks on the blade as well. Again, nothing major. When I got the knife in, that's the first thing I noticed. He told me that the knife hadn't even been carried. So I messaged him back, said, hey, you know, there's some spots on the blade, spots on the handle, by the lock bar. Send him pictures, video, the whole 9 yards. I said, not a huge issue, just making you aware. You know, fair. I think it's a fair deal, et cetera, et cetera. He sends me a reply back saying, if you aren't happy with the knife, go ahead, you know, send it back. I'll refund you this, that, and the other. I told him, I said, no, you know, I'm going to hold on to the knife. I like the knife a lot, which I honestly do. And I obviously do because I sent the knife in. So you know, I told him I'd keep him up to date, keep him in the loop, this, that, and the other. He said, no problem, give it a couple of days, let me know. So after a couple of days, I noticed that the stop pin was crooked. I was flipping it on the couch like all of us do. And like I said, I flipped it open and I noticed that the stop pin wasn't exactly in the center. So I said, that's strange. And I closed it to the point where I could access the stop pin. And like I said, I could push it back and forth as you saw earlier in the video. And that kind of concerned me a little bit. Well, concern's not the right word. That kind of raised my curiosity a little bit, because the way the knife is made, the stop pin is captured in between these two scales. You can see that stop pin doesn't come up high enough at any point in travel that it's going to fall out. So no matter what, that stop pin was going to stay in there. So it wasn't like a fatal flaw or anything like that. Also, the stop pin is long enough, even on the one before this, that even if it was pushed all the way to one side or the other, there wasn't enough space for the stop pin not to do its job and to engage the scales here. Or this stop pin also works in this position to engage the scales down here where you see this shelf cut into both sides of the titanium. So I posted up, like I said, a comment on the Hinderer subforum in the USN, on the USN, and Witty, I didn't get any replies, but then Witty replied, and he said it didn't look normal to him. He sells Hinderers, by the way, he's a Hinderer guy. He said it didn't look normal. He thinks that it should be sent in, but he was going to ask Rick. I believe that's what he said. He was going to ask Rick. So this is also during the Time of Shot show. So long story short, he and I communicate back and forth. He puts me in touch with Rick directly. Rick says it doesn't look normal. Send it in. Rick Hinderer says it doesn't look normal. Send it in. I contact the guy that I bought the knife from, and I tell him, hey, you know, stop pin's messed up, you know, just kind of let you know, keep you in the loop. He loses it. He cusses at me, carries on. I tell him, I say, you know, call me. You have access to my number. Call me. Give me a phone call. You know, I don't think you're handling this in the USN way. And if you feel like you need to speak to me in that way, please call me and let's have this conversation person to person rather than doing this over the internet, because anybody could type anything on the internet. Call me. Long story short, the guy continues to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, calling me all kinds of names. You know, saying, you only want the knife because it was so cheap, and you couldn't get another knife so cheap, blah, 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 blah. And actually, that's not the fact. If you know market value on these knives, you can pick up a titanium one of these used for $500, and it's a $600-ish knife. So you can pick up these for in that $325 range. I've seen some, like I said, in that $315 to $350 range used. So that's not the case. Anyway, long story short, he goes back and forth, back and forth. He's going to ban me, blah, 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 blah. I'm a little this, I'm a little that. You know, basically, I don't have any money. So, you know, that's the only reason why you want to keep the knife. And I told him I just wanted to keep you in the loop. Call me. If you feel like you need to speak like that, please give me a phone call. Guy never called me. I do a little bit of research, and I come to find out that the guy's not even a verifiable member of the USN. So long story short, do your research. If people are claiming that they're part of the USN, I would even go as far as to verify that before you did business with them, because the USN is a good group. We don't cuss and swear and tear each other down. We build each other up. Like I said, Rick is a part of the USN, Rick Hinderer and Witty, Scott are a part of the USN, and they both looked out for me. They both took care of me. Witty put me in touch with Rick. Rick made sure the knife was taken care of. Erica at Hinderer Knives made sure I got my scale and that it was installed at the factory, and it was turned around to me within a week. That's the USN way. So if you're not a USN member, Usual Suspect Network, I suggest you pop over, check it out. It's not about the knives, it's about the family. We look out for one another, and I think that is clear on how I was looked out for with this knife. Unfortunately, that other guy who is claiming to be a USN member, he does not have the character, and I should have known that the way he was talking from the beginning. But that's the story on the knife. Got the knife back. I love the knife. It's still centered. It still flips great. My hand, I can't get this to flip out. Well, there we go. I can get it to flip out now with the thumb stud. With the factory lube, it's even smoother than whatever he had on there. Just a great knife. I like it a lot. It does need a little bit of a sharpen. That was the thing. It had a few rolls on the edge, and I showed that to him. So it does need a little bit of a sharpening, but overall, I'm very happy to have it back. Like I said, I sent it in. They took care of me. No charge. There was no charge. I didn't mention that. I just had to pay to ship it in. They shipped it back to me. So please check out USA Made Blade. Please tell Scott I sent you, or Witty, whichever you call him. As always, remember, lazy man carries a dull knife.